My name is Shootashellz. I'm from the east side of Chicago, man, Tarrytown, specifically 74th and Phillips.
When motherfuckers been in the videos and they end up getting shot, when they really like with that shit, they will judge you for supporting me, you finna come to the video, motherfuckers gonna have fun, turn up. And then next thing you know, motherfuckers get up, get into some bullshit, motherfuckers get on their ass, like, are you with that shit, are you supporting them niggas, cause we in that video,
Motherfuckers was always fighting, bad blood, and then as we got older, high school, and then motherfuckers started playing with guns, people started dying, or somebody got shot, and ain't nobody gonna let that shit go, you feel me, so.
I got a couple day one niggas that done turn snake. A couple day two niggas that done turn fake. A lot of niggas think they real in their own way. But if you real, you can never turn fake. A lot of niggas want this money for the wrong reasons. All they really want is clothes and to smoke reefers. I don't speak about these haters because I don't see them. I don't think about these hoes because I don't need them.
One morning in July 2017, Cedron Doles, better known by his rap name Shootashellz, was getting into his car on the south side of the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood of Chicago when all of a sudden, three of his opponents jumped out of their cars and shot him. In what has come to be known by many as one of the most gruesome hits that has ever taken place in Chicago over the past decade, Shootashellz's rivals stood over him as he lay on the ground, suffering from multiple bullet wounds, and took turns shooting him in the face. The hit was so gruesome that even the FBI got involved, and during the investigation, it was revealed that one of the prime suspects in the hit was No Limit member Chris Jackson, better known as Mad Max. After being released due to insufficient evidence, Mad Max was also hit in 2018. The day was July 10, 2017, and at around 9:30 a.m., Shootashellz was getting into his car in the Southside Auburn-Gresham neighborhood in Chicago. Sadly, he never made it inside, for just as he was about to get in, three men got out of a white Nissan Altima and shot him several times in the middle of the street in broad daylight. After he had fallen down, the shooters stood over him and took turns shooting him in the face a total of 18 times. Disturbingly, a witness to the crime took a picture of Shootashellz's horribly disfigured face and posted it to Reddit, which sent shockwaves through the entire rap community. Later, police would recover more than 40 shell casings at the scene. Even without knowing the details of the gang-related context that led to the gruesome hit, the cops knew this was no ordinary hit. This was personal. Most of the time, when rappers get taken out as a result of gang-related issues, the cases are handled by the state police department. But this time, due to the grisly nature of the crime and Shootashellz's alleged involvement in several other hits throughout the city, the feds had to get involved, even filing a court order to search the victim's iPhone 7, which was found in his pocket after the hit. In the days following the brutal incident, it was alleged that Shootashellz's location had been given away by one of his street rivals, which is how his assailants had supposedly found him, but this was never officially confirmed. Following the hit, several police documents started getting leaked on Reddit, in which it was mentioned that Mad Max, whose real name is Chris Jackson from No Limit's gang, was one of the suspects in the horrifying shooting. According to leaked police documents, Mad Max had originally been booked for having a gun with the defaced serial number, but the feds eventually let him go when they couldn't find anything else on him. With no other solid leads, the authorities looked back to Shootashellz's last months alive to find out what could have led to his demise. In 2016, Shootashellz was released from jail after spending a year and a half on the inside after his girlfriend allegedly snitched on him to the cops and consented to have her house searched, where they ended up finding many of Shooter's guns. As soon as he was released, he went on a mission to avenge his fallen friend, Black Mob Scoobs, who was hit in 2014 by Yogi ABK, while Shootashellz was locked up on a separate charge. In 2016, Shootashellz allegedly took out Yogi ABK on the 7400 block of South Shore Drive in broad daylight. You would think that after spending years in prison and committing a hit that could put him away for life, Shootashellz would have spent some time laying low. But instead of keeping quiet, he immediately went on to release his song, Pac-Man, which includes several lyrics where he disses Yogi ABK and mentions his wrongdoings, such as always smoking this Yogi, always sip this Kobe. Then in early 2017, Shooter dropped his song Godfather, where his lyrics once again implied that he hit Yogi ABK as revenge for what he did to Scoobs. Not yet satisfied with the amount of damage he had caused the No Limits gang, just 9 days after the release of Godfather, Shootashellz allegedly caught his fifth body when he hit Big Wet, Lil Wet's father. Considering all he did after his release from prison, it's not hard to see why everyone in No Limits wanted him gone. But Shooter wasn't even close to done. Things reached their boiling point on April 6, 2017, when Shootashellz released his infamous track Death of 150, where he brutally disrespected G Herbo and the 150 Dream Team, with the 150 shirt being burned on camera during the video. While Shooter was locked up, G Herbo had called him out and dissed him in some of his songs, and in response, Shootashellz rapped in Death of 150 that if he ever saw G Herbo, he would put him on the news and have a college kid making videos about him. The release of Death of 150 was a huge moment in Shootashellz's life, whereas most of his other videos were getting about 100 to 200k views on YouTube. Death of 150 went insanely viral and had reached over 8 million views to this day. In the streets of Chicago, or Chirac, as it's often called, due to the unrelenting viciousness, Death of 150 created even more polarization between the different gangs, with people choosing sides between G Herbo and Shootashellz. With his popularity skyrocketing after Death of 150, Shootashellz didn't exactly shy away from the limelight and started releasing more and more music, even confessing that he had hit 5 people in Real Ones. Then, just a few days after the release of Real Ones, Iman Vision would drop an interview with him where Shooter mentioned that his recent disses against G Herbo were meant as retaliation for when G Herbo had disrespected him, especially on his 2014 song, I'm a Boss, where he rapped the lyrics, I see Shooter, blam the 8. According to Shootashellz, things turned very personal with G Herbo after the release of that song on September 2014. In the interview with Iman Vision, he also mentioned that he and G Herbo had been rivals since middle school when their respective schools would fight each other on the street, and as they got older, the conflict escalated into a full-on gang retaliation. Disturbingly, he also mentioned that he had also recently been messaged by hundreds of No Limits members and fans on social media saying that he would be the next one gone. Tragically, the threat soon became a reality.
Fist fights turned into gunshots, you feel me, gunplay, and he just so happened to be a part of them, you feel me? So that's how it came about. It don't never be about no money though. The shit wasn't really about no money, you feel me? Just motherfuckers always.
G Herbo would go live on Instagram, running around in the streets of Chicago, teasing his opponents by revealing his location. But when some of his viewers started making comments on his live stream about Shootashellz, G Herbo lost his temper and went into a full-on rant, screaming at his viewers to stop making incriminating comments and get off his page.
I'm in the rack right now. I'm downtown. Gonna take y'all last 2 hours to get right here.
You guys have other channel.
My baby on the pitch. Oh, she got the VVS dress, all VVS diamonds.
A couple of months later, in his song 4 Minutes of Hell, G Herbo would drop an extremely disrespectful diss aimed at Shootashellz. In the song, Herbo raps that Shooter never made any money in his life and now can't even think back on his choices because he had no head left, a direct reference to the grisly crime that ended his life. Sadly, G Herbo wasn't the only one to throw shade at the memory of the fallen Shootashellz. Even Lil Bibby from No Limits, who Shootashellz had mentioned in his interview with Zach TV, was one of the only men from No Limits that he respected because he had never dissed him or his gang directly. Went on to sing in his song Crack Baby. Last one who dissed the gang, his brains was all sloppy.
You gotta be living in a certain area to go to a certain school.
Certain districts
so that's
and
where
shit.
they was from, and they was all going to this school. That's where we was from. We was all going to this school, and motherfuckers get into it with them, and motherfuckers be fighting them. So as we got older, the shit escalated. Herb stayed on our shit, like he'll tell you, he stayed on 74th and Kingston. You feel me? But he wasn't really on that shit. You feel me? Even if he was on that, motherfucker ain't make it seem like he was dead when they sentenced. You feel me? Then he started going to Hyde Park or whatever. You feel me? We was going to CVS and South Shore.
Even though Shooter was one of the Black Mob's most dangerous hitmen, things didn't exactly calm down after his passing. In fact, the gang war continued at full speed, with G Slim from No Limits being hit just a few days later. The next year, in 2018, Mad Max One of the alleged shooters in the Shootashellz incident was gunned down as he was standing outside of his mother's apartment in the South Shore neighborhood of Chicago. As he mentioned in his interview with Zach TV, Shootashellz lost his mother, father, and brother at a very young age and had to learn how to mature in the streets by himself. With that kind of a past, it's impossible to expect a man to make good choices, especially considering the environment he grew up in.
Man, I've been through a lot in my life, man. You feel my OG passed when I was like 11. My pops died when I was like 9.
Hold on, bro. Yo.
That shit it's a lot, you feel me? You know, you deal with family issues, you feel me? It's all type of shit, you feel me? Motherfuckers going on and they like, and then to come to this shit, you feel me, all that street shit, that's a lot. A motherfucker gotta mature, you gotta mature fast, you gotta grow up, you gotta take care of yourself out here.
Still, it's sad to see how Shooter never made it out of the vicious cycle that took his family and instead ended up becoming a pawn in it. Since his passing, it's often said that even if Shooter hadn't been hit, he would have probably ended up spending a big part of his life in prison once the legal consequences of his many crimes caught up with him. But whatever the case, it's horrible to see someone be taken out like he was. Even though it's been almost 7 years since that incident, hopefully the cops will someday find the 2 other men responsible for ending his life and bring them to justice in his name. Until then, rest in peace, Shootashellz.